Hey everybody, Coach Willem here from Restored Strength, and today I'm going to talk about low back pain. This past weekend we had the Pride event and we did our first 5K. Afterwards we had some assisted stretching and massage going on for the runners. One of the things that was common was low back pain throughout most of these runners and people in general who were dealing with low back pain. And so I wanted to make this video to give you information about what can be causing it and what you can do about it. So before we get started with the solutions or some ideas of what you can try, we want to understand the anatomy first. Why? Just because I enjoy it. So with the psoas, it's this muscle that's in front of the spine that starts there and attaches to the top of your leg. That muscle here causes the hip and the thigh to pull up together. Okay, the next muscle is called your iliacus. This is going to be a little bit more inside your hip, but it still attaches to the top thigh, which will help with turning your thigh inward, but also pulling your pelvis forward. So what happens with low back pain oftentimes is that we're in a poor seated position, or we're just not as active as we should be. And so what tends to happen with runners and having low back pain with these two muscles is that you're doing a repetitive movement of pulling your thigh up and doing your best to keep your toe facing forward during your run. And so these two muscles are oftentimes contributors to that low back pain. So what we want to do to begin with, to start with doing something about it, is releasing or at least mobilizing these tissues with our hands, or a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball, a softball, something that helps the muscle move again. So what I want to do is show you where the psoas is. I'll start with my hip and my belly button, and I'll go right in the middle with my thumbs. Right there, you're going to feel a tight muscle in front, and you want to apply anywhere from low, medium, or high pressure. What you want to do is when you find that spot, you're going to take in 10 deep breaths. As you're breathing in, make sure that you're filling your belly button or your thumbs full of air so that your belly button goes forward. And then as I press out with my lips together, my belly button will pull back and I continuously apply pressure. 10 breaths there for the psoas. For the iliacus, what we're going to do is we're going to find that muscle here. It's going to be at the top of the hip, work your way down, and it's going to be a little bit more inward. You'll find that tight spot right alongside of the hip here. Same thing. You're going to take in 10 deep breaths, making sure your thumb gets filled with air. Once we've done that for both sides, what we want to do next is go into an activation exercise. And for that, what I like to do is a side plank and a glute bridge. So what this will allow for us to do is get the core to be a little bit more active, but also to get these muscles to waken up a little bit. So I want to begin with a side kneeling side plank. So my elbow is underneath my shoulder. My knees are stacked. From this position, I'm going to push my knee into the ground and press my forearm into the ground as I raise up. From this position, I'm going to hold for anywhere from 5 to 8 breaths on each side, making sure that I'm driving my knee down and pushing my forearm into the ground. Breathing out through my straw. The next thing, or the next exercise that I'm going to get into is a glute bridge. Now with this glute bridge, I want to use a yoga block or a towel or something that I can prop between my knees that will allow for me to squeeze the block together. From here, what I want to do is I want to push my low back into the ground slightly. I'm going to press my feet firmly into the ground and squeeze that block. I'm going to lower myself down, controlled, and then I'm going to repeat. So again, I'm squeezing that block. I'm getting the tension throughout the back of my legs and throughout my glutes because I'm creating force and tension through these areas as I squeeze that block. I lower my hips down, controlled, and I'll repeat for about 8 to 12 repetitions here. once we got these muscles to awaken and to help us, next we're gonna mobilize it. And so what I like to do is a 90-90 hold. Other people call it chin box, other people call it pigeon hold, whatever it may be. But I just wanna have one of my thighs facing towards me while the other thigh is going downward. From this position, I'm gonna grab one arm, I'm gonna reach it over so that my chest is in line with my thigh. Take in a big deep breath, press out through my straw, and relax into my hip. I'm gonna take in 5 breaths on each side. If this position gets to be too much, you can move your feet in closer together. That way you can allow for your body to meet itself where it's at. The last stretch that we'll go into is a half kneeling hip flexor stretch. So I want to begin by pushing my toe into the ground, making it feel as if my hip is going to move forward. From this position, I want to imagine that there's a belt buckle underneath my belly button. And from there, I want to pull that belt buckle to the bottom of my chin so then I get a greater stretch throughout the front of my hip. Lastly, I'm going to raise my arm up and hold in for 5 breaths on each side. All right, folks, so hopefully trying these few things out will help relieve some of that low back pain that you're dealing with. If you want more information or if you'd like for us to work with you in person, feel free to leave a message below or comment, and we'll be more than happy to help you.